Hello everyone, welcome to Learning Artist. My name's Levi. Today I want to talk about what you need to get started with digital painting. So there are two main groups that you need to think about, and that's the hardware and then the software. So let's start with the hardware. First off, you need a computer, which I think is kind of the more obvious one. Some of you probably even already have computers that will work just fine for this. But if you're looking for a computer, let me give you a few pointers. If you're on a budget, I would go with a desktop because your money typically goes farther as far as specs go. If you're looking for mobility, then a laptop's definitely the way to go, but it's going to end up costing you more in the end for the same specs. If you can afford both, that's great. I have a desktop that I use and a laptop, but typically I end up going back to the desktop, mostly because it just has bigger screens and it's more powerful. Next thing you'll need as far as hardware goes is a graphics tablet. Now, I'm just going to make it simple. Go with Wacom, or Wacom, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. I've been using their products for years, and they are by far the best graphics tablets out there. Additionally, they have something in every single price range, so you should be able to find a tablet that's within your budget. They have two different versions. They have an Intuos, which is their regular graphics tablet, where you draw on the tablet and look up at the screen. Then they have their Cintiq version, which is where you can actually draw directly on the screen as you would a piece of paper. The Intuos versions are perfectly suited for digital painting, but they're not the greatest when it comes to line work because you have that little bit of disconnect between your hand and what you're seeing on the screen. So if you do a lot of line work, the Cintiq would probably be a better way to go because you have that direct connection like you would a piece of paper. Now let's talk about software. This is the actual software that allows you to paint digitally. Now there's two options here. You can go with a paid or the free, which is what I'll talk about in a minute. The paid options would be Photoshop and Corel Painter. Those are kind of the leading industry standards right now. Photoshop is what I personally use, partially because it's what I have, but also because it has a full set of editing tools, great brushes that are fully customizable. The one downside to Photoshop is that it doesn't really act a whole lot like traditional media, like watercolors don't actually dry up. Oil paint isn't actually thick. But if you're going for that effect, Corel Painter is the way to go. Their brush engine makes it look like actual paint on canvas, and it's aimed more at making digital art look as close to reality as possible. For instance, oil paints actually build up and smear around, and watercolors actually bleed into the paper and dry up. So if you're going for that more traditional media style, then Corel Painter is probably the way to go, because it's almost impossible to get the same effects in Photoshop. Photoshop does have a few advantages over Corel Painter. For instance, Photoshop can edit photos. It's designed to edit photos, so it's great for that. As opposed to Corel Painter, it's pretty much dedicated specifically to painting. If you're looking for more ways to save money, then you may not even want to pay for a piece of software. And there's plenty of great free options out there. Two that I would recommend looking into is MyPaint and Krita. MyPaint is a great option, especially if you're running on a less powerful system because it runs very light. It has an endless canvas, so it's great for just expanding and being creative. And it's got a great set of brushes. Additionally, it's got layers, which is a plus. Krita is more of a Photoshop-like experience. It's got a full set of editing tools, a full list of brushes, it's got layers, and it's even got a timeline if you want to play around with animation. This is a great option if your computer can run it. One of the downsides that I've found with it is that the brushes are a little bit heavy on the system. So if you make a paint stroke, sometimes it'll take a few seconds for it to actually, what it calls, build the paint stroke. It'll show you somewhat of a proxy before, but then it will have to go through after you're done making the stroke and fill it in with the actual paint stroke. This can be a little bit annoying if you're trying to paint fast and it's trying to build, or if your system is a little bit under-spec'd. But if you're on an absolute budget, this is a great alternative to Photoshop or Corel Painter. So in review, what you'll need to actually get started with digital painting is a computer, which most of you probably already have. You'll need a graphics tablet, and then you'll need software. The graphics tablet, just go with Wacom, it's the easiest thing, and you can find something at every single price point. As far as software goes, just figure out if you want to spend anything. If you're on an absolute budget, or you just want to figure out if you even like digital painting, go pick up Krita or MyPaint, and just start painting to see if you like it. And then later, if you decide that you really enjoy it, you can invest a little more money into a piece of software like Photoshop or Corel Painter. Alright, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. I know I'm not the greatest at these videos yet, but I hope I'm going to get better, so stick around, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next week.